the attitude. Oh, don't make me do this. Oh, this is too hard.
All right, folks, as we've showed you prior to this in the early part of the show with Stephen Moore, that's John Boehner. As we welcome you back to the panel, and Christopher Hahn, host of the Christopher Hahn Show, is with us, and C. Edmund Wright, national columnist, of course. And gentlemen, that was John Boehner mocking fellow Republicans who, as he was describing in his own way, how they don't want to be dragged to immigration reform. I don't understand this, Edmund. I don't understand it at all. I didn't understand when he stood before the American public and said that the conservatives in his party made him shut down the government, which he didn't do. He couldn't do, but it plays right into the Democrats. So what's up with John Boehner?
Well, I wrote an article for American Thinker this week entitled, "But Seriously, Just How Slow-Witted Is John Boehner?" And frankly, Steve, I don't think the guy's that smart. What he certainly is he's totally lost any situational awareness that he had, when he first got to Washington in the early 90s from Ohio. Boehner's had the chance. And look at where we are. We have a Democrat president, a Democrat Senate. The Speaker of the House, therefore, becomes the titular head of the opposition party. He's had a chance to be a historic figure and be the lead guy in trying to fight the Obama, Reid, Schumer, Pelosi agenda. And yet he hasn't done it. He's more worried about the Tea Party and amnesty than he is the biggest opportunity that any speaker has had in my lifetime.
What about it, Chris? Chris? Did we lose Chris? All right. I think. Chris, are you there?
I am here. Sorry, I put my phone on mute.
Okay, that.
So you lost some gold, some radio gold.
Can we, go ahead.
Look, I think it's final. It's fine. It's nice to see Boehner being honest, showing that he thinks that a lot of his members are just cowards. They don't want to vote on something because there might be a primary challenge in there. I think that the majority of the middle of the road Republicans in this country favor immigration reform. Boehner favors it. Even some conservatives like Congressman Pete King here in New York has written a letter to John Boehner today, expressing his support for immigration reform, including a pathway to citizenship. And I think, look, the time has come, and Boehner understands that there are a lot of people who don't want to see this happen before primary season's over. But primary season's getting close to being done, and I think you might see some movement in the House right after it.
Let me ask you, Chris, why would Americans want millions of more workers competing for the jobs that don't even exist now? Where are the jobs coming from to satisfy all these millions of people that'll be coming?
I think it's an acknowledgement of a situation that already exists. They are already competing for this job. They're just living in the shadows. Let's have a real policy so that families don't have to be split up, and let's give the American dream to people who are coming here for the same reason my grandparents.
Your grandparents, I would assume, came here legally, like my grandparents came. My great-grandparents came here legally.
There was a system when my grandparents were running away from Mussolini and Hitler. They didn't stop and say, wait a minute, do we have the right forms? They got here, and there was a system in place that was able to handle it. That system has broken down over the last 50 years in this country. It's time for us to put another system like that back into place so that they can benefit. So the people coming here for the same reason my family came here and your family
I don't think so. Edmund, people running away from Hitler and Mussolini today from Mexico?
I don't know. I'm trying to get over the description of Pete King as a conservative. That one just flew. But quite frankly, immigration is an issue, but the answer is not amnesty. It's not citizenship. If you want to really have, and I'll tell you how you could incent this thing just to get the the good incentives.
Go ahead. We got less than a minute. Go ahead.
Simply secure the border and quit giving out welfare to those who are here illegally. And then you would purify.
They're not coming here.
Let him finish, Chris. Let him finish.
Yeah, that would purify the incentive and at least take away the most costly of the problem. But this is a 60-year problem. It's been forming for 60 years, and we're not going to solve it in 1 year.
But you took the words right out of my mouth as we say goodbye to the panel. I thank both of you guys.
Thanks,
It's been
guys.
fun. Christopher Hahn, host of the Christopher Hahn Show on radio, and also C. Edmund Wright, national columnist, and he was communications director for Bush Quail 92 in the state of North Carolina. Very spirited, very interesting, and I think it's so apropos that Chris put his phone on mute by accident. Maybe, I don't know, a little Freudian thing going on there. Who knows? All right, folks, that's not the end of the debate, as Edmund alluded to, not by a long shot. All right, we'll be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show, but first, today's America's Moment focuses on the end of the war in Vietnam with the fall of Saigon. Stay tuned.
When Saigon, the capital of South Vietnam, fell on the 30th of April, 1975, America's long conflict there may have ended, but it took decades for the nation to heal its wounds. In 1973, President Nixon orchestrated the Paris Peace Accords, bringing to an end America's involvement in the Vietnam War. America's POWs returned home, and all seemed well until March of 1975. When Senator Ted Kennedy led Congress in cutting off all aid to South Vietnam. Within weeks, Communist North Vietnam reneged on the peace accords and invaded their neighbors to the south. Without U.S. support, South Vietnam fell to the Communists, and throughout South Vietnam, a bloodbath ensued as hundreds of thousands of South Vietnamese who had backed the U.S. were massacred. Empowered by the events in Vietnam, Communists in Laos and Cambodia soon toppled their pro-Western regimes, and Southeast Asia became a killing field, with the genocide of an additional 2 million people. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.